You know, life is nothing but illusions, and those illusions are up to us to decipher and discern what is the truth, yo. Ladies and gentlemen, the world stage is being set, the B system is in play, and the optics are high. And that is the truth, yo. I'm Snafu Snaps, you guys are the Snafu crew, the glue, each and every one of you. And remember, the optics will continue to ramp up.
The Matrix wants to keep you suppressed and oppressed. It wants you to keep you depressed with an empty mind so that they can install the slave programming at will and instantly change it. From COVID to Ukraine to climate change to dildo to whatever they want you to shove up your ass, they want to make sure your mind is empty so they can put it on the news and you instantly comply without questioning them. You will do that if you're depressed and you're afraid of fighting back. They want you depressed and sad.
Number one objective of war.
Disarm your enemy.
Disarm your opponent. They want you broke. They disarm you by taking your money away, taking your spirit away, taking your resolve away.
Please understand, one of the main reasons they attack my brother and I is because our influence inspires bravery amongst men. We make you laugh, we make you brave, we make you courageous, we make you unafraid to say what you think, even if there are consequences. That's what they're afraid of. They want you scared, they want you depressed, they want you sad, they want you meek, quiet, and mild. The world is trying to breed bravery out of men on purpose. They don't want you to be brave because it is the bravery that's going to allow you to resist their enslavement. The number one way you begin the enslavement of a population is inspiring cowardice amongst its warriors. Once that is done, there is no resistance left. None. If you're too scared to fight, you're not going to have opinions which go against the mainstream consensus because you can't defend them. If you're too weak or too depressed or too sad to fight, once again, you will instantly swallow the shit sandwich that they give you. You will eat the bugs, you will take the dildo. And they're afraid of you being motivated and positive and happy, not depressed. They want you depressed. They feed you shit food, they give you porn, they get you shit entertainment to distract you, they put you in a situation where you can't viably afford a home in this economy, they keep you broke.
They want you bankrupt.
They do anything they can to keep you sad because they are afraid of you. They don't want you to wake up and be strong and motivated. Heaven forbid you also get rich. Heaven forbid you also start telling everyone else to do the same thing. If you do that, they'll put you in fucking jail. They are scared now. They are afraid. We are finally starting to beat these people for the first time in modern history. Every single time you do the right thing is an act of resistance. Every time you go to the gym and train when you don't feel like training is an act of resistance. Every single time you make enough money to retire your mother or give charity to somebody in need is an act of resistance. Every time you smile when they want you to be depressed is an act of resistance. Every time you watch the MSM and say, I don't believe you, is an act of resistance. That is what they're afraid of, mass resistance. Them putting a lie on the news and you shaking your head and going, not this time, nope. That's resistance. They are losing now and they are afraid.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Snafu Snaps. You guys are SnafuKrew, the glue, each and every one of you. The optics are ramping up, and that includes the optics of warfare against citizens, which has been known from the dawn of time. Elites versus peeps. Poisoning the well, so to speak, optics, right? You ever heard of that term, poisoning the well? But with chemtrails in our food supply and vaccinations and much, much more in play, let's take a look at a lot of these optics that are in play. Remember, Bill Gates and his a million hypodermic needles flying around? Remember, he put the optics in front of your guys' faces, the Grim Reaper and everything. This is from the official Bill Gates website. Remember, they tell you what their plans are.
Вот она мошка, короче. Сейчас приближу.
Сейчас крылья уберу.
Вот цифра 36. Прям видно на мошке.
Vaccines are so important.
We'll have new vaccines. We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
The misinformation about vaccines and associating certain people like myself or Fauci having malign intent with vaccines, that was most acute in the United States. There's no doubt in the next 5 years, we can, we just need to mess around. We just need to mess around. We just need to mess around. There are a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembling. We'll have a TB vaccine, malaria vaccine, HIV vaccine, vaccines are so important. Yeah, I'd probably have one of the highest greenhouse gas footprints of anyone on the planet. Vaccines are so important.
You've invested $10 billion in vaccinations over the last 2 decades, and you figured out the return on investment for that.
That's a pretty strong number.
You think life will fully return to what we thought of as normal?
We'll have, starting in the summer, about 9 months where a few things like big public gatherings will still be restricted. Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. It won't be the last pandemic that we face. We'll have to prepare for the next one. That I'd say is will get attention this time.
Hi, I'm Scott O'Neill here in Medellin, Colombia today, and I'm at the world's biggest mosquito factory for the World Mosquito Program. We're making in here 30 million mosquitoes a week. Come and have a look. We're doing it for a very serious reason. Cities like Medellin have suffered from diseases like dengue, Zika, chikungunya for decades, but not anymore. We've been able to bring the solution of Wolbachia mosquitoes to this city. When this bacteria called Wolbachia gets introduced into the mosquito, it stops their ability to transmit dengue. We release mosquitoes that have Wolbachia. Now they go and mate, and Wolbachia gets passed into the wild mosquito population. If we're going to control these diseases in all the tropical cities of the world, it's going to require a lot of mosquitoes. The mosquito life cycle starts with the egg, and in this room, we've got a lot of eggs. Each one of these strips, these tiny black dots, are up to 10,000 mosquito eggs. Across all of these strips, about 1.5 million dried eggs waiting to hatch. In this tray, we've got the newly hatched eggs. They're little larvae, so small you can hardly see them. They're going to sit in here for a few days and eat and get bigger until they look like these ones over here. They're starting to turn into pupae. We're wanting to do the next step of sorting the males from the females. We want to do that so we can manipulate the sex ratio in the cages to be more female than male. The bottom ones along here are the boys, and the ones at the top are the girls. They're bigger. From here, they're going into the adult cages. We have adults that we continuously grow in what we call our brood stock. And then over here, we have the mass-produced mosquitoes getting ready to give us the eggs to go out directly into the field. It's crazy how they sound. You might wonder, what do we feed all these mosquitoes here? Well, I can tell you, we've got the good stuff in here. On the top shelf, literally, we've got the blood. They love it. Once the mosquitoes are grown, they're ready to go out into the field.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we know that the chemtrails, the food supplies, the pharmaceuticals, so much more attacks are happening. They are poisoning the world, poisoning the well. And again, Bill Gates owns large, if not the biggest portion of farmland now in the United States. Remember, if you go to McDonald's and get fries, all those potatoes are being grown on old Bill Gates' farmland, right? Isn't that interesting optics? And again, these optics are going to continue to ramp up and be put in play. Poisoning the whale optics are a go.
So remember how I said earlier in this speech that the farmers need to give up their farms before 2030, specifically that year? Yeah, so that's not a coincidence. That year doesn't come out of nowhere. So that year is basically the deadline that our global elites have given our country and will probably give you to abide by these new regulations. And that agenda is called the 2030 Agenda. And now I have a slide showing you what that entails. So the 2030 Agenda is a United Nations agenda. So there we go. Everybody is part of the United Nations, right? The entire world. And this agenda consists of 17 what they call Sustainable Development Goals. And when you take a look at them right there, you're like, well, what's wrong with that? You know, they all seem very noble. No poverty, no hunger. Who could be against that? However, if we take a closer look at how they actually want to accomplish all of this, anybody with 2 functioning brain cells realizes that this cannot happen unless there is an active and maybe even forceful redistribution of goods, foods, property, and our rights, which basically comes down to the obliteration of all of our basic liberties and our rights. And these goals, as I said, are not restricted solely to the Netherlands. They are global. And that's where we see their true motive. The people behind this want to establish a one-world government, a new world order in which they decide what we eat, when we eat, where we travel, when we travel, who we meet, and what we are allowed to spend our money on. Basically, control over every single aspect of our lives. And I'm sure that many of you have heard the famous sentence from Klaus Schwab, you know, where he says, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy," right? Yeah, that's this agenda. So why are the people behind this agenda specifically targeting farmers? Well, it's because obviously they really want our way of life and the things that we eat to radically change. They don't want us to eat foods that make us strong. They want us to eat synthetic meat created by Bill Gates. They want us to eat bugs. They want us to drink soy milk so that we become weak and obedient, and we do as they say, and we buy what they offer.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, they are infiltrating our foods, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a flying hypodermic needle through a mosquito, or in the air through the chemtrails, or things like that, because they are actually injecting the live animals with mini optics and things to that nature. Check it out.
What's happening to our food?
toyuğa nə boyda olur? Buna bax. Bir toyuğa 400 qramı şapulladır buradan tərəfə. O birisini elə, o birisini elə. Bəs, o birisini elə. Buduna da vur baxıb bud nətəri şişir. Əlini çək.
Soon, the entire world will start eating meat printed by a printer, and we won't even be able to tell if it's real meat or not. This isn't a plot from Black Mirror, it's our reality unfolding. Here's why printed meat resembles real meat so closely. The 3D printers use special bio-inks to create it. These bio-inks are actually made from stem cells extracted from different animals depending on the desired type of meat: beef, pork, poultry, or even fish. In a laboratory, these cells then multiply, interact, and differentiate into the fat and muscle cells that make up bio-ink. These bio-inks are then intricately layered by specialized 3D printers to construct meat products that closely mimic the texture, taste, and nutritional composition of traditional meats. This is identical to real beef, and when it is ready and served, even the smell is the same. Scientists claim that by using this technology, the environmental impact associated with conventional livestock farming will be greatly reduced. So would you eat
a juicy, sizzling steak made by computer? While obtaining regular meat is a process that's been taking place for millennia, cow, butcher, beef, Redefined Meat, a meat alternative startup out of Israel, makes their product using a highly technical process. The mix of soy and pea protein, chickpeas, beetroot, nutritional yeast, and coconut fat is formed into steak-like shapes using a 3D printer.
Our goal is to become the largest meat company in the world just by harnessing technology instead of animals.
Meat substitutes are not new, but unlike the soy-based crumbles that mimic ground beef, Redefined Meat's product is designed to act, taste, and cut like flank steak.
This is the holy grail of alternative meat.
But the most important part, how does it taste? This diner was happy.
The texture feels right. Even the smell smells like the real thing. Really authentic for meat. Revolution.
Cholesterol took away their passion until...
I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter. The taste you love without the cholesterol.
What a work of art.
What a work of art. Ladies and gents, welcome back. The global elite are telling us that, hey, cows are bad for the environment. You need to find a different alternative for things that you get from cows, i.e. butter. This morning from Reuters, scientists are experimenting with larva fat to replace butter. They soak insects in water and then mush them with a blender before centrifuges separate a butter-like substance, which the team then uses to bake with. Not making this up, folks. Here we are.
All this cake needs is flour, eggs, and 20 grams of dead insects. No, you haven't misheard. A team of scientists at Belgium's University of Ghent are trying to find a way to substitute dairy in cakes, cookies and waffles. They say deriving grease from insects is more green than dairy production.
They are more sustainable because they use less land. They are more efficient converting feed to weight. They also use less water to produce, and in this case they can be produced within Europe. That will decrease the footprint that other type of food sources bring, because they come from far away, let's say South America or Southeast Asia.
By soaking the insects in a little bit of water and then mushing them with a kitchen blender before centrifuges separate a butter-like substance, a grease is made which the team used to bake with. But how does it go down outside of the lab?
For me, there's no difference. So it's actually better. Yeah.
Do you think you would eat insect fat cakes again?
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No?
The team say that consumers can't taste the difference when a quarter of the milk butter is replaced with the fat from the insects, but they start to notice when it gets to the halfway mark. So who knows? One day you could be munching on a cockroach croissant as you head to the office, or making your nearest and dearest a beetle birthday cake.
Oh, well, they say it is green. The only green would be my face if they had me eat that. It'll turn you green for sure. That is absolutely for sure. But what are some of the issues with eating bugs? Well, this is starting to come out now. So the chitins are a part of the bug's exoskeleton. Study shows humans can't digest chitin, and it can lead to cancer. And there's a study here. I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can read this for yourself. We have this man takes on Twitter, insects contain chitin, which can't be processed by the human body. They also can't be removed by cooking either. Chitins will eventually make you very sick with respiratory illnesses and possibly even spinal cancer. Don't eat the bugs, folks.
Insects, it's been shown, contain a substance called chitin. There's a meme going around. You sort of see this stuff and you think, oh, is this fear-mongering? Is this true? But I've looked into it and it's actually true, folks. There's a lot of evidence that insects contain chitins. Chitins are very, very bad for humans. Chitins cause all sorts of problems, asthma, respiratory problems, all the things we're seeing from the jab. It also causes this thing called glioblastoma, which is a spinal cancer. Comes from chitins, and chitins cannot be cooked out of insects. There's no processing that will take these substances out of the insects. When you eat the insects, you are eating chitins. Chitins cannot be processed by the human body. You know, we don't eat insects, folks. You know, birds, chickens, lizards, reptiles, these things eat insects. Fish eat insects. We don't eat insects. We don't have the digestive system to be able to process certain things that are found in insects, such as chitins. Like I said, they can't be processed out. They cannot be cooked out. They are always there. So if you're eating little insect snacks or eating insectin burgers, you're eating chitins, folks, and you're going to make yourself very sick.
Not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. So from what I understand, chitins are a type of polymer, which is a plastic that we're all worried about the plastics on Earth. But that's where we are this morning, folks. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Are you gonna eat the new I can't believe it's not butter? I can't believe it's not bugs. That's where we're at, folks. That's all I got for you on this one. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.
Stay free with Russell Brand. See it first on Rumble. But one thing that we all require is sweet lady food. Without nutrition, Gareth, without healthy diets, without good information about the food we eat, we are lost. Callie Means is an activist who used to work in the food and pharma industry before leaving to become a whistleblower on companies like Coca-Cola, where he actually was involved in lobbying. For example, did you know that once they blagged it so that Coca-Cola got recommended to children? Like, kids can drink Coca-Cola, it's good for you. He now highlights the ways in which big food and big pharma rigged the system to maintain profits and keep us unhealthy. Your obesity is their profit. Callie, thanks for joining us, mate.
Oh, great to be here, Russell.
Now, we've just come out of a crisis where there's been some controversy around injecting children, perhaps needlessly. What is this new obesity drug, Ozempic, and what's the story behind it, and why is it dangerous, Callie?
Well, this is a scandal that I think is the biggest story in the country right now. The American Academy of Pediatrics, which is what sets the guidelines for pediatrics in this country, is actually a wholly owned subsidiary of pharma. More than the majority of their funding comes from pharma, but they set the agenda. And just last week, they recommended that every obese and overweight person in this country over 12 gets an obesity drug, and this is a lifetime injection. It says on the label for this drug that there are serious and unknown metabolic effects if you go off this drug. So we have seen teenagers, particularly during COVID, now 45% obese or overweight. It's obviously because of a rigged food system. Early in my career, I actually helped Coke rig the system. They pay the American Academy of Pediatrics directly. They pay the American Diabetes Association. Those associations, the medical establishment, has been silent that the fact that the cells and the metabolism of our children has been decimated by our food companies. But now that 45% of children are overweight or obese, we are getting a full court press to have this obesity drug injected into a large percentage of American teens, making them lifetime patients. What's so dangerous about this, Russell, and honestly heartbreaking, having a new son, is that obesity isn't the problem. The problem is that children systematically through a rigged system are putting, poisonous processed food into their system. And even if this obesity drug worked perfectly, which it doesn't and has massive side effects, if you're eating 25% less poison, you're still eating poison, you're still feeding your cells bad things, you're still going to have a lot of diseases and not an optimal life. So once again, it's a distraction. It's a pharma distraction, making lifetime patients. And I think the most important thing here, or one of them, is that this is projected to be the most expensive drug in American history. We're on track to spend trillions on this drug. It would be much cheaper to just have healthy food for kids.
It's extraordinary. Through lobbying and through expenditure on dubious trialing methods, through controlling the stories around food, through controlling the stories of nutrition, it seems that an industry is devoted to creating new clients, new patients, new consumers for their products. Is it fair to say that the undue influence that big food is able to exert on organizations that research subjects like diabetes, heart conditions and heart disease, oncology and cancer, that we're simply not getting the real picture of how we ought to eat and what's healthy? And imagine if overnight processed foods were banned, annihilated, and people just ate healthy. What would the difference be to diseases like heart disease, diabetes, cancer?
Yeah, so working for Coke 10 years ago, and now I'm working to change these incentives, we had a strategy. Now, processed food companies contribute 11 times more money to nutritional research in the United States than the NIH. They're basically, processed food companies are funding research, and the direct strategy was to fund thousands and thousands of studies to complicate the issue. Still, to this day, elite research institutions are putting out studies questioning whether sugar causes obesity, right? So it's mass confusion. And then, as you mentioned, the medical system is totally silent on that, right? The medical system is not ringing an alarm bell about childhood diabetes, obesity. They're profiting from it. And I think the key thing to understand is that we've siloed health in every institution, from pharma to med schools to your hospital. They make money on interventions of people that are sick. And as you said, we've siloed diseases into these things, right? We spend $250 billion on cancer. We spend over $1 trillion on diabetes care. The most prescribed drug in the country, 25% of the United States is on a mental health medication, right? We have 40% of men over 40 in the US are on a statin, right, to prevent heart disease. The problem is, Russell, all of the conditions I just mentioned are going up. As we're treating them, as we're spending trillions of dollars to treat these conditions in silos, they're all getting worse. Rates of everything is going up. It's because the foundational reason for all of the diseases you mentioned, Russell, it's very simple, and we're being gaslighted. It's because of food, right? If you are metabolically healthy, if you're eating healthy food, if you're at a normal weight, you're very unlikely to die from COVID. You have an almost 0% chance of getting diabetes, heart disease, even Alzheimer's, which is now called type 3 diabetes and is highly tied to metabolism. So we are ignoring the actually simple root cause. And this is by design, right? People getting sicker and sicker and us kind of confused about why that is helps the medical industry profit. And I'll just close, with this story. I was actually debating a leading Harvard doctor this week who is a big proponent for Ozempic. There's this big push. She's saying that obesity is actually a genetic disease, not tied, quote, to food or lifestyle. They're literally arguing that at Harvard. And when pushed, she said she does not know why there's a crisis of childhood obesity, and it's, quote, complicated. This is not complicated. We are being poisoned from a rigged food system, and the medical system is profiting.
That is disgusting that the Food and Drug Administration Agency, the FDA, they regulate both Big Pharma and they regulate Big Food, and they take 45% of their funding from the pharmaceutical industry. And we can see now how what you correctly adjudicate to be a process of delicious poisoning through sugary, fatty, salty, processed foods is a win-win for them. I get the sort of symbol, the metaphor, talking to you, Callie, that the agricultural models that meant that we were able to detach ourselves from nature, plus industrialization and our corrupt systems, has meant that the food that we are fed are the most profitable foods, not the most nutritious foods. That was bad enough when it were carbohydrate-based diets, peasants in whatever country eating potatoes or pasta or rice or whatever, bread, whatever's the appropriate food for peasants in that time. But now the appropriate food is poison. I see us as if we were latched with tubes, siphoning off our energy, pumping poisons into us, like we're like blobs of commodity now. And that when you say that our finest educational and academic institutions have been co-opted, that there is no credibility, that it is normal for a top Harvard professional to be so apparently credulous about how childhood obesity could increase when sugar and fat are increasing in diets, and when there is so much money spent on lobbying by the food industry. So, mate, what was your personal epiphany? When did you realize that you were working in a deeply corrupted industry, and what can we do now, systemically and individually?
So my sister was the pride of the family. We both went to Stanford. She was much smarter than me. She was president of her undergrad class, was top of her class at Stanford Med School, and then was an elite surgeon. And she, after training for 13 years, had an out-of-body experience where she was doing her third surgery of the day, looking down at a patient, and they had inflammation. She was doing a sinusitis, cutting out their sinus. And she did not know why that person had inflammation. She was only trained in medical school how to cut that out, how to prescribe a drug. And what she realized is that Stanford Med School, Harvard Med School, all the elite med schools in the United States, 80% in total, do not teach one nutrition class to doctors. And then when you trace the money, more than 50% of medical school funding touches pharma. Doctors spend almost every moment in medical school learning pharmacology. They actually do not have any awe, as you talk about, Russell, or understanding or curiosity about the interconnectivity of our body and the miraculousness of life. They stand, our medical system is incentivized to stand and wait for people to get sick. She quit and has been on a war path. Her name's Dr. Casey Means and has inspired me a lot. And then that ties recently to our beloved, our best friend, our mom, dying of pancreatic cancer. She got that diagnosis in 2021, died 13 days later, was perfectly healthy. And tying that back, pancreatic cancer is highly tied to metabolic dysfunction to food. Cancers, dementia, kidney disease, COVID deaths, all these things, when you trace it, are actually tied to food. So, Russell, it's really convinced me, some of these personal experiences, you did really take it to a spiritual level. We are decimating our human capital when 25% of kids now have prediabetes. Diabetes is cellular dysregulation in their brains, throughout their precious bodies. This is the first order issue, and I think we're really being just distracted from it, and we need to get back to just awe and curiosity about the interconnectivity of what's happening in our body. I think it's the most important issue we face in the world.
Yes, I think you're right. I think that what we require are systems that revere our nature and support our nature rather than enhance the evident corruption and mapped on systems that are built for profit. It's interesting what you say about awe and that lack of curiosity. Of course, it seems that when you have a poisoned, bewildered, distracted population, you can profit from their illness, you can profit from every aspect of their life, you profit from fattening them up, you profit from healing them, and obviously a drug where pharmaceutical companies can go to their shareholders and say this is a drug they have to take for the rest of their lives. That's incredible. Also, it's a problem of inequality, of course, isn't it? Because now people that are affluent, and I'd have to say I include myself in this, you replicate the kind of diet that you would have if you were living naturally. Like I recognize that I should be eating organic food. I should probably eat food that's available in the place that I'm out at, in the season that I'm in. The ordinary conditions of our evolution are now a privilege because we are tied to economic systems and institutions of profit that will not afford us access to nature, even when it comes to sustenance, let alone nutrition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a free market guy, but I think the free market's been totally rigged. And I think it's incumbent, and I am optimistic because we're calling this out. I do think people are waking up. I want to put one point, though, on this class issue, because I think that debate's really weaponized. You know, I've talked about this on other programs, but working for Coke, one of the first things we did is pay the NAACP and other civil rights groups. And I think that's part of the playbook. It's to racialize and make the debate a class issue. Of course, it was total gaslighting, because what was at stake here is that Coke wanted more funding to keep lower income children on Coke, which is giving them diabetes. But I really want to make this point. If you came down, as an alien to Earth, to the United States, and saw what was going on, 80% of adults obese or overweight, metabolic dysfunction, 8 of the 10 top killers tied to food, just getting away from our evolution, right? You'd have a clear policy recommendation. Let's really focus on food. Let's focus on teaching kids how to exercise, how to meditate, to get a control of their mind, how to eat healthy. That would obviously, anyone 100% of the time would say that's the policy recommendation. That's not what we do. We wait for everyone to get sick and then drug them, and it's much more expensive. In the United States, and this is an important point going back to Ozempic, the obesity drug, because the system's so rigged, because pharma spends 3 times more than any other industry on lobbying, the United States is not even able to negotiate the drug price, even though they're the largest payer. So Ozempic, prices don't go down when volume goes up. Prices are going up in healthcare and quality is getting worse. So Ozempic is $2,500 a year. It's not going down. There's a full court press for government subsidization, taxpayer funding. It literally, this sounds hyperbolic, but this is the case. If that is prescribed how it's projected, that will be trillions of dollars over the next 10 years. So again, when we talk about these classes, we talk about poor folks not being able to afford the food. Again, you take 1/5 of the amount we're planning to spend on Ozempic, you could buy organic, pure, whole food for every obese child in this country. So I think that economic debate we really need to understand. We have a public policy that waits for people to get sick, which I think is evil.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, chemical warfare is a big thing, been around for the dawn of time. Well, think about it. Back in the day, they used to do lobotomies. Well, now they use chemicals to do lobotomies, right? Mind-altering drugs, instead of sticking an ice pick up your nose, The fact is experimentation, chemical warfare, food supplies, pharmaceuticals, and so much more is a real thing. The optics are high. The optics are high. I'm Snafu Snaps. You're the SnafuKrew. If you want to help me out, hit the PayPal link below, or hit Snafu Snaps Cash App 007. But remember, keep putting the truth out. Keep being you, the crew. Much love.
World War I, also known as the Chemical War, and this is why. There were many new deadly gases and chemicals used in this war that had never been used as weapons before. Chlorine gas, also known as bertholite, was first weaponized in World War I by the Germans at the Second Battle of Ypres in April 1915. They launched thousands of containers of chlorine gas across the battlefield into their enemy's territory, killing hundreds of French troops. Chlorine gas affects the body in many ways. It causes burning in the eyes, uncontrollable blinking, redness, and inflammation along with the production of tears. It can also burn the cornea, killing the cells within it. The effects of chlorine gas on the lungs are extensive. Once inhaled in, it causes nose and throat irritation, coughing and choking, vomiting, and finally, shrinking of the lower airway. All of those things happen rapidly once a person is exposed.
Did you know that China is using chemical warfare to destroy America from within? You see, right now, the country is being ravaged by synthetic opioids, with more than 110,000 Americans having died from fentanyl just last year alone. And this is not an accident, as most of these drugs are coming here deliberately from China. Just to give you a picture of how much of this stuff comes here from China, not too long ago, Mexican authorities captured 52,000 pounds of fentanyl in a shipping container from Shanghai. 52,000 pounds in a single container. Now, fentanyl is 50 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine. It's so strong that a tiny pinch of the stuff is enough to kill an adult man. So that container from Shanghai had enough fentanyl to kill 11 billion people. And what's even more shocking is that this drug warfare has long been a tactic of the Chinese Communist Party. They even laid out their plans in a book titled Unrestricted Warfare, published by the People's Liberation Army. And so, do you think that our open southern border is being used by Chinese communists to take down America? Leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more.
They want to hide the truths that are in front of your eyes. God's creations, God's healing components. They want to truly change the cellular DNA structure. They want to be gods and be creators. The optics are high, and they will ramp up. I'm SnafuKrew, the crew. Much love.